Before creating your first Android Studio project, you'll need to make sure you've set up some basic software. As I've described previously, you'll need the Java Development Kit or JDK from Oracle. You'll also need to have installed and updated Android Studio. If you haven't gone through these steps yet, stop watching this video and go back to the previous videos that describe how to set up the software. In this course, I'm using Android Studio 1.4 and I'm working with the version of the SDK for Android 6.0 or Marshmallow, which is known for the developer as API Level 23. To create your first app, start in the Android Studio welcome screen and click Start a new Android Studio project. I'm going to name my application Hello World, and then I'll set the company domain starting with example.com. Any app that belongs to this particular domain can't be submitted to the Google Play Store, and so by using this, I'll make sure that it's always marked as a sample application. But my particular app is going to be a clothing catalog for a fictional company named H+ Sport. So I'm going to set the complete company name as hsport.example.com. That generates a package name, showed in dim characters below. The package name is also known as the app identifier, and it provides a globally unique identity for the app, so only one app for each identity can be hosted on the Google Play Store or other distribution channels. If you like, you can customize the package name by clicking the Edit link, and I'm going to change my actual package name to hsport.catalog, and I'll use this same package name for all of the sample apps throughout this course, so that when I install a new app, it'll replace the old one on any particular device, and I won't end up with a whole bunch of different apps on the devices. Next, I'll indicate where I'm creating my project on disk. The default is a folder named Android Studio Projects underneath my Home folder. This is just a folder. It's not like an Eclipse workspace that contains configuration information, and if you prefer, you can place the project anywhere else on your hard disk. I'll accept that location and click Next. On this screen, I'm asked what my minimum SDK will be. The default is typically API 15 or Android 4.0.3 Ice Cream Sandwich. If you want to support all of the current devices that are being tracked in the Google Play Store, you could instead choose API 8 for Android 2.2 or Froyo. But that would require a lot more development and testing on your part. You can click on this link to help you choose, but this information in my experience is usually a little bit out of date. To find better, more up-to-date information about current penetration statistics for different versions of Android, go to a browser. This is the screen where you can find out current usage rates on the Google Play Store. And you'll see that as of this date, Froyo has a tiny percentage of the market, and even Android 2.3, Gingerbread, has a very small percentage. If you eliminate support for these versions of Android, you can save yourself a lot of development and testing time. Also on this screen, you're asked which form factors or what kind of devices you're going to support. The default is building an app for phone and tablet. And that's all I'm going to choose for my app. I'm not going to build apps for Wear, TV, or Android Auto. So I'll set my minimum SDK to API 15 and click Next. By default, your app will have a single activity or screen, and the default selection is a template named Blank Activity. This will create that single activity, and it'll display some simple text. It'll also present a fairly sophisticated control called a floating action button, and add Java code to react when the user presses the button. If you want to start with a much simpler app, choose the empty activity template, and you'll only get a little bit of text. But I'll choose Blank Activity and click Next again. This screen asks for something called an activity name, and this will be the name of a Java class, and a related layout, which is an XML file that describes the appearance of this screen. There's also a title, and I'm going to change the title to Hello World. and a menu resource name, and this is an XML file that describes an options menu. If you prefer, you can create your screen using a fragment, and this will let you easily adapt your application to tablets or other size devices. But I'll leave that option unchecked to keep things a little bit simpler, and I'll click Finish. That creates the project. When you see the Activity Design screen open and display the app's first screen, you're ready to run the app for the first time. But if this is the first time you've gone through this process, it might take a while to get here. Down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see some messages indicating that content is being indexed, and this process can take a few minutes. So step away from the computer and then come back to it a little bit later. The next time you create a project, I promise it'll go a lot faster. Also, if you see any errors, once again, wait for all that processing to finish before you try to fix it. But if you still see errors there, go to the menu and choose Build, and then Clean Project. And that will delete any artifacts that were initially created and completely rebuild the project, and this will frequently fix any issues that appear the first time you create the project. So now you've created the app and you're ready to test it on a device. You'll need either a physical device that's configured for testing or a virtual device that you can use in the Android emulator, and I'll describe how to get started with both options in the next couple of videos.